Okay, so Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And with this Qudoori Sharif, where were we? Just to confirm out from the staff here. Make sure you behave. Otherwise.
Sheikh, we go
We
to
have done Salat al Marid now.
Bab al-Salat al-Musafir.
Musafir is what we're starting today. And let me put that on the screen for you as well. Assalamu alaikum. कॉलेज में जाऊँगी कर छोड़ा ईमेल कर छोड़ा ईमेल मैंने कर छोड़ा अच्छा ठीक है
What's wrong? Huh? Set the phone.
अपने routine so this is Qudoori Sharif and I've got two things here. And we are Kitab al-Salah page. This page is Abi.
In my book, it's page number 58.
No.
No?
Yeah, it's page number 30. Fabulous. Okay, so Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد معدن الجود والكرم وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم وصلي عليه اللهم يا فتاح يا عليم افتحنا باب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علمك. So today we are learning the ahkam which are attached to the salah of Musafir. Musafir is a traveler. Mr. Rakim, do you have something to make some notes? Good, bring it out please. Have you had a word with Abdali sir? Is he not joining anymore?
Stream. He does. Stream.
Huh?
He joins the streams afterwards.
So he watches the recording?
Yeah.
Fine. Alright, so today we're doing Salatul Musafir, the prayer of the traveler. And the Ibarat say that the Safar, which basically changes the ahkam. So from the point from where a person becomes a musafir and the ahkam change, that safar is not every journey. So every journey doesn't change the hukum of the namaz. Salatul Musafir only applies when certain conditions are met. And safar is تتغير به الأحكام, the journey whereby the regulations are changed, is only this, that أن يقصد الإنسان موضعا بينه وبين مصره مسيرة 3 أيام فصاعدا, that the person must intend to travel to a place that between that place and his own home, there is 3 days travel, a journey of 3 days. فصاعدا. Meaning that the person, as soon as he intends and he starts the journey, he becomes a musafir. And the effect of this is that if the person left the house, leaving the house, he had no intention of traveling to a place which is this far, which is as far as 3 days journey, and he kept running around. And he traveled around the globe, but he never had the intention of traveling to the distance of 3 days from the home. He will never become a musafir. That is the effect, the significance of this hukum. So a person leaving the house must have the intention of going to a place which is at the distance of 3 days. Similarly, simple intention is not enough. One must also start traveling. And both intention and the travel, when they come together, then at that point the person becomes a musafir, and then he will be considered as a musafir. When they said masiratu 3 ayyam, this only includes the travel, the travel through the day, not the night. Because night is for resting, not for traveling. So masira, the journey, the distance of 3 days will be the journey that one can make in 3 days and not 3 nights. So the daytime, traveling through the day only, and that also, so mentioned here though, I heard this when I was reading this from our Ustadi back maybe 8 years ago, from Shaykh al-Hadith Mufti Faiz Subhan Sahib. He mentioned this, that this only includes the time from after the sunrise, from after the Salat Shuruq, from that point to the Zawal. So journey of this time, this is what is a Shari journey, because he will have to sit down, come down and come to a stop for the Zuhr namaz. And from the Zuhr namaz, he will do the namaz, and after Zuhr namaz, he will have to arrange for his food. And after the food, he Shar'an, and as following the Sunnah, he is required to take a nap. Once he wakes up, it will be time for Asr namaz. And after Asr, Shar'an, the journey is not appropriate. The journey is only from the sunrise, after the sunrise, till the Zawal. So that is how the 3 days Masira becomes only about 48 miles. Otherwise, 48 miles we can travel in 1 hour in car nowadays, or even in those times, the 48 miles would have been easier. Traveling through the day, one could travel 48 miles or even more within 1 day.
57 and a half. 57 and a half miles.
Yes, 57 and a half miles, but according to new calculation. the 48 miles was a different calculation. Anyway, so 57 and a half miles was to be on the safe side. So, but this, I mean, they could still travel that long, even in that time. Yet the legal, I mean, the journey that's counted only is from the sunrise to the zawal, that time. So 3 days it will take to travel this long, 57 and a half miles. So they mentioned that here, that's why I didn't read that. That is it necessary for him to travel all day up till the night? No. Because the person does not have the ability to travel from one dawn to the next dawn, so he can't travel continuously. They must come down for the istiraha, to rest, and also for other necessities and for the prayers as well. Okay, so and this journey, 3 days journey, must be with the on the camel, Bisayr al-Ibil. So traveling on the camel, the amount of journey that one can make in 3 days from after the sunrise to the zawal in this time, that is the salasati ayyam, masiratu salasati ayyam, that is the journey a person can make in 3 days, and that is the requirement for one to become a musafir. So the Sayr al-Ibil, the person must be traveling by the speed of a camel, or by the speed of the normal speed walking. That is also included. So that is the legal requirement for the Shari'i journey. And they also mention that ولا يعتبر في ذلك ولا معتبر في ذلك بالسير في الماء, that this is not considered, the 48 hours, 48 hours, or not the 48 hours, the masir of 3 days is not considered when someone is traveling through the water, or is traveling through the sea. So they both are different. So traveling on the land is different, traveling on the sea has a different rules. So both will have rulings according to their, what's more appropriate for them. So because the traveling to the land is different, and traveling to the sea is a lot more faster. And they mention here that if a place could be accessed through 2 different routes, one was through land and the other was through the sea, for example, and the one which is through the sea could be, one could travel through that for 3 days to reach the place. That would take him 3 days to reach the place, whereas the one through the land would take him 2 days only to reach. So if he went through the land, because that took him only 2 days, he wouldn't do the qasr. He will not become a musafir. However, if he went through the seaside, because it took him more than 3 days, the hukm applies. Is that clear? Because so the hukm is not of how far is the place. The hukm is of the journey. The ahkam apply according to the journey. So if a person traveling to the place which could be easier, there could be a shorter route to that place through the water, or through the land, sorry. But he didn't go. He chose to travel through the sea instead. But that took him 3 days. so he is going to become a musafir. Yeah? He is a musafir. If he travels through the route which takes 3 days, he becomes a musafir. Or if he travels through the route which takes less than 3 days, he won't become a musafir.
So there's 2 routes towards one destination, and you take the longer one, you'll become musafir.
Musafir, yeah.
And even if the same route to get to the same destination, you take the short
Depends.
one.
Depends if the route is is
It's the
both.
threshold or not.
No, depends. If one route, both routes must be different. For example, one must be through the sea and the other must be the land. Otherwise, if there are two, roads going to the same place, one is shorter, one is longer, then obviously you have the choice of taking the shorter route. So if you take the longer one, you don't become a Safi. However, because the water is different, as they mentioned earlier, that the Sayr fil Bahr is completely different. So the different hukm apply there. So that's why someone traveling through the Bahr, if the Bahr takes them 3 days or longer, they become Musafir.
So this is one destination, for instance, from here to, let's say, I don't know, Bedford. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's not that far, meaning wherever you can say.
Maybe to France.
Here to France. No, meaning here to somewhere where if somebody was to take one, the destination is the same. If somebody took one route, it's longer, it'll take him more than 57.5 miles. But if he was to take, there's another route available as well, which is shorter. Then
Right.
he will become Musafir or not? Or it depend on which route he's taken?
Depends on the accessibility of the route. I mean, if the other route was not accessible, so he could have taken that route to avoid becoming Musafir, then Imam took this route to become Musafir. And that's a different thing. So if the route was accessible or maybe not available, then he had to take this route and obviously become Musafir. Is that clear? So if the shorter route was not accessible for him, so he had to take the longer route, and obviously he had no choice. Then he will become Musafir straight away. Because the distance that he's travelling is more than 3 days journey away.
Is it more often to be a Musafir?
Huh?
Is it more often to be a Musafir?
No. It is equal. So for a Musafir, the Qasr is afdal. And for the one who's not a Musafir, the completion is afdal. So depending on the journey you're making, I mean the intention of the journey, it could be afdal as well. For example, if you're going for the Umrah or for the Jihad, obviously, it doesn't apply now, but those days when they used to have Jihad, obviously becoming Musafir would be a lot of sabr, getting more reward. Okay, so let's not go into detail of who is Musafir and who is not. It's very simple, and you can learn this. Maybe you can do your own reading on that as well. And now after mentioning who is Musafir, they now clarify the actual hukm that applies to the Musafir. And the hukm is that the person who is a Musafir, he has to do qasr. So qasr is what they have to do. And وفرض المسافر عندنا في كل صلاة رباعية ركعتان. That in a journey, for a traveler, for a Musafir, the fard part of the Musafir namaz, in every 4 rakat namaz, every 4 rakat, the salah, the fard is only 2 rakats. So from the 4 rakat namaz, the fard becomes 2 in the qasr. Is reduced to rakatan, only 2 rakats. And he said Salat al-Ruba'iyatan because they are namaz which are only 2 rakats. They are not, there's no qasr in those. For example, the Fajr namaz and also the Maghrib can't be done, they're only 3, so the 3 rakat namaz cannot be reduced as well. So only the ones which are 4 rakats namaz, they are affected by the qasr. The Zuhr, the Asr and the Isha. So the qasr hukm applies only to three namazes, which are Zuhr, Asr and Isha. And the hukm is that وَلَا تَجُوزُ لَهُ الزِّيَادَةُ عَلَيْهِمَا, that the person is not allowed, it is not jais for him to, not permissible for him to read more than two. So if person thinking that even though I'm musafir, I'll still read full, he will get a sinner because it's not jais for him. He has to do the qasr. So for him, afdal, and the only option is the qasr. So he must do the qasr. So وَلَا تَجُوزُ لَهُ الزِّيَادَةُ, and it is not permissible for him to read two, because if he read more than two, he becomes a sinner instead of getting a reward for that. Because he's going against the sunnah and also against the sharia. فَإِنْ صَلَّى أَرْبَعًا, however, if he read four, and وَقَعَدَ فِي الثَّانِيَةِ مِقْدَارَ التَّشَهُّدِ, and in the second rak'ah, after the second rak'ah, he sat down for tashahhud, until عَبْدُهُ وَرَسُولُهُ أَجْزَأَتْهُ رَكْعَتَانِ عَنْ فَرْضِهِ وَكَانَتِ الْأُخْرَيَانِ لَهُ نَافِلَةً. Then the first two would be sufficient for the fard, and the second two would become nafil.
Can you read?
Yes, so if a person read four instead of reading to each other message, your question?
I'll ask you after you explain.
Okay, so the person, if you read four rakats instead of two, well, after the two rakats, he sat down for the tashahhud that we do after the rakats. He sat down in the tashahhud and abduhu wa rasul and stood up again, thinking that he's reading four, and he started again from Surah Fatiha. So he read four instead, but he sat down in the middle. Then the first two will become fard, and the second two will be sufficient and will become nafil. So first two will be sufficient for the fard of the time, and the second two will become nafil for him. But if he didn't sit down, وَإِن لَمْ يَقُلْ فِي الثَّانِيَةِ قَدْرَ التَّشَهُّدِ بَطَلَتْ صَلَاتُهُ. However, if he forgot to sit down, he intended to read four, and continued that without sitting down, then بَطَلَتْ صَلَاتُهُ, his namaz will become batil and will be destroyed. Especially destroyed. Oh, you had a question?
Yeah, I was asking, let's say you are on a journey, but that journey isn't 3 days long. While you're on the journey, would this apply?
If you find a destination in 3 days away, yes, it applies to you. As I mentioned earlier, so the first thing we mentioned is that once you intend to go to a place which is 3 days, which is at a distance of 3 days, the moment you start moving away from your home place, you become musafir. So if you then read the namaz, you'll have to do qasr. For example, if you intend from here you intend to go to anyway, which is as far as 57.5 miles, right? As soon as you leave your home area, you'll become musafir. Right? If you stop at a service station now to read namaz, you will read qasr namaz. If you find destination is at the distance of 3 days. Yeah, is that what is the question? Okay. Good. So I was mentioning, if person did not sit down upon in the middle after 2 rak'ats for the miqdar tashahhud, at the amount of tashahhud, then the namaz will become batil. And وَمَنْ خَرَجَ مُسَافِرًا صَلَّى رَكَعَتَيْنِ إذا, that's the point here. So, Zafar, that's your answer now. وَمَنْ خَرَجَ مُسَافِرًا صَلَّى رَكَعَتَيْنِ إذا فَارَقَ بُيُوتَ الْمِصْرِ. The one who leaves, sets out as a traveler, yeah, he will pray the qasr namaz, 2 rak'ats. Soon as he leaves the houses of his town. So soon as he moves beyond the house of the town, the limit, you would know the area of the town. For example, we live in, what's this area? Forest Gate, is it? Newham. As soon as you move away from the Newham, you become Musafir. Yeah? This is the town of Newham. So, or say to be on the safe side, as soon as you move away from the London, maybe M25, then you become a Musafir. Yeah? So if you stop on the first service station and you intend to read namaz, and your final destination is as far as 3 days journey, traveling on a camel, then you will be doing qasr. When a traveler, وَلَا يَزَالُ عَلَى حُكْمِ سَفَرِهِ حَتَّى يَنْوِي الْإِقَامَةَ. And this state of safar remains until he intends to stay, until he intends to stay at some place for more than 3 days. More than 15 days, sorry. ينوي الإقامة في بلد يصلح أن يصلح للإقامة 15 يوما, and the iqama becomes only correct once he intends to do 15 days. So as soon as he intends to stay there for 15 days or more than 15 days, from that moment, from the intention point, he becomes a muqim, and then he has to read the complete namaz. فَيَلْزُمُهُ الْإِتْمَامِ. From that point, he will have to complete the namaz. When وَالْإِقَامَةَ أَقَلَّ مِنْ ذَلِكَ لَمْ يُتِمَّ. However, if he intended to stay there for less than 15 days, then he will still do the qasr, still read 2 rak'ats for the 4 rak'ats fara'id. Is that clear? Yeah? So Rakeen, a person who settles, goes on a journey, and on the journey he intends to stay at certain place for more than 15 days or for 15 days, then from that moment of intention he will become a muqim. So he will start reading complete namaz. However, if he intended to stay less than 14 days, maybe less than 15 days, maybe 14 days or 13 or 12, whatever, and he will not become a muqim, he will still read the namaz of a musafir.
So,
Yeah.
say he intends to stay for less than 15 days, but something happens in due
Yeah,
to
that will come up. Inshallah. Good question. What is coming up now? Alright, so yeah, your answer is coming up now. If a person intends to stay for less than 15 days, I don't think this is in the translation now. Is it?
This is the wrong page.
No, this is the right page. Yeah, this is the one. It's here. The order changes, so the translation is in a different order. Yeah, this point number 2. A person intends to stay for less than 15 days. وإذا دخل بلدا ولم ينوي أن يقيم فيه 15 يوما وإنما يقول غدا أخرج أو بعد غد نخرج. The person entered a place and never intended to stay there for 15 or more days, and he kept saying that I will leave tomorrow or maybe day after tomorrow. He kept saying this, but he was never able to do so. حتى بقي على ذلك سنين صلى ركعتين. Even he never was able to do so. He always was intending to leave, but never was able to do so. Even though he remained there for 2 years, and he always had the intention to leave, he would still be reading the Salah of Musafir. That's a great number. So a person who had pure intention, he must not be cheating himself, obviously. So he had pure intention. He wasn't sure that whether he's going today or tomorrow.
Keeps intending.
Yeah.
He'll leave tomorrow.
and so he would remain there on Musafir. So it could be applicable, and especially the ones who are in this country now, who are not certain about their visa, for example, or who have sent their visa for renewal, so they don't know whether they will be rejected or not. They will be asked to leave as soon as the visa is refused. So they don't know whether that will be today or tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So they remain Musafir until that time. So if they travel, wherever they go, they read namaz of Musafir. Because Abdullah ibn Umar, he went to Azerbaijan in Russia. Azerbaijan. And he remained there for 6 months. And he used to do qasr in that. And Hazrat Ansar, he remained in Nishapur. That's also, I think, in Russia. And he remained there for 1 year, and he remained doing qasr. Because the intention was to leave, but he was never able to leave. So that's the benefit of knowing the masail of Sharia, so that you are able to benefit from the Sharia. So everybody doesn't know. A lot of people, they go to Haramain Sharifain now, and they keep reading full namaz, where they're required to do qasr, they're musafir. They're thinking that they have come to a place of worship, so they should keep read full namaz instead of 2 rakats. So they become a sinner instead of sawab, because they are not following the hukm of Sharia. So when they go to, for example, for going for Hajj, this masala will also come up inshallah, I think, that when they go for Hajj, because they do not stay in Makkah for 15 days, then they move to Mina and Arafah, then even they don't stay for 15 days. They come back again, and then they have to go to Medina and all that. They never become muqim. They remain musafir. So for them, they have to read the namaz of musafir. But if they do read instead full namaz, they become sinners. So let's continue. وإذا دخل عسكر أرض الحرب فنبوا إقامة 15 يوما لم يتموا. That different rulings apply to the army, Muslims' army, which enters a land with an intention of war. Ard al-Harb. I mean, they are staying in the war area, the area which is basically the area of war. فَنَبُوا إِقَامَةَ 15 يوما. Although they intended to stay there for more than 15 days, or for 15 days, they still won't complete the namaz. They will still, because they are from the army, they won't complete the namaz. Lam yutimu. And the different rulings apply to the muqtadi now, the mu'tam, the follower, mu'tam. So if the mu'tam is reading behind, mu'tam is musafir now, the muqtadi, the follower is musafir, but the imam is muqim, then the muqtadi also has to read the full namaz, following the imam. So he can't, say salam after 2 and let imam continue. He must continue and finish off with the imam. And this is if the time still remains. مع بقاء الوقت أتم الصلاة. So if the time still remains for the namaz, then he would do so. But if he is following him in the fa'ita, the missed prayer, if they are holding a jama'ah congregation for the missed prayer together, and the muqim musafir also joins, then then the namaz is not jaiz for him, so he can't read behind him in that case, because he's musafir. He has to do qasr, whereas they are reading qada of the full namaz. So he has to do qada of the qasr, and they are doing qada of the original namaz, full, no qasr, tamam namaz. Another masala is that وإن صلى المسافر بالمقيمين صلى بهم ركعتين. That if the Imam is a musafir, which regularly happens in Plumstead Mosque, Imam becomes a musafir very often because the Shah Sahib often has to travel. When I was Imam there, I used to travel quite a lot, so I used to often say that I'm musafir, so you have to complete the namaz. And this is the masala. وإن صلى المسافر مقيمين صلى بهم ركعتين ثم أتم المقيمين صلاتهم. If the Imam musafir, I don't think this is on the screen here now. Is it?
Up. Then.
Yeah, this number 4. So when a traveler leads, he's the Imam, then what he will do, he will, and the muqtadi, all the followers are muqimeen, then he will read only 2 rak'ats, and after 2 rak'ats the followers will stand up and they will continue their namaz. ثم أتم المقيمون صلاة وحدانا. And so they will stand up and they will continue. They won't read this in jama'ah, so they will now separate, do this individually. And however, they must also notice that they won't recite in that namaz, because they are still in a state of iqtida. They're still following the Imam, still jama'ah. So in jama'at, عندنا we don't read behind the Imam. So in the Surah Al-Fatiha, and in the rak'ah when they're standing up, in the qiyam, they won't read anything. They will simply stand for the time of Surah Al-Fatiha. Is that on? Simply stand for the time of Surah Al-Fatiha and then go down to ruku.
It's still behind the Imam.
Still behind the Imam. So it doesn't mean that because Imam has finished his namaz and they are now reading. Oh no! I have noticed some people, they do stand up, but because they don't know the masala, they often happen to read their own Surah Fatiha when they stand up after the Imam, Musafir Imam, has finished his namaz. So they must remember that they will not do the qira'at in that. Yeah. They will still do the tasbihat of ruku, the tasbihat of the sujood, and also the
Tashahhud.
yeah, tashahhud as well, but they won't do the qira'ah in the qiyam.
Was-
Yes.
What do you stand up when the Imam does the first one?
Salam, yeah. First salam. If the first salam, they can stand up. So if the muqtadi don't know about why he has they came afterwards, or the Imam forgot to tell them that he is musafir and he will finish off at 2 rakats, and then you'll have to stand up. If they don't know, then it is better and mustahab for the it is next masala in fact. ويستحب له إذا سلم أن يقول أتموا صلاتكم فإنها قوم كفرون. It's mustahab for him to tell them when he finishes off his namaz, to say أتموا صلاتكم, complete your namaz because I am a musafir. That's a sunnah of Prophet Islam. He used to say this.
أتموا الصلاة.
أتموا صلاتكم فإنا قوم سفرون, because we are travelers, people who are traveling. So because that informs the people behind that why has he finished salam 2 rakats.
Also informs the people that came late.
Yeah. So because or you forgot to tell them at start, then you remembered halfway through that you had to finish off at 2 rakats. So you would simply say salam and tell them atimmu salatakum, or in English you can say complete the namaz because I'm musafir. They will understand then. They will stand up and then complete the namaz.
If you want to say,
أتموا صلاتكم فإنا قوم سفر. We are travelers. We are the people who are journeying or traveling.
And if you're not a qawm, then you won't say one person for inni.
Yeah.
Musafir.
Fine, it's still fine. Because the qawm, the imam is obviously one person. So for inna qawmun safarun, you're following the sunnah method. Aqal Islam possibly said in this manner. So you would still say for inna qawmun safarun.
فَإِنَّا قَوْمُسْ
Qawmun safarun. This obviously, we won't say this in Arabic now anyway. So a person would be saying their own language now for the benefit of the people behind.
Might
Maybe
be
in
some
English.
Arab,
Eh?
might be some Arabs behind you
Who?
in an Arabic country.
Could be, but even then, they would understand English now. So
They
majority would be English people now.
They probably understand all the book as well.
Yeah. So if you are leading namaz to people who are majority of them are Urdu speakers, then you would say in Urdu. But in this country, I mean, you would say this in English. That please complete the namaz. I'm a traveller, and I will only do 2 rakats. You'll have to complete the namaz. Now the next masala is that. Find this masala on this page. I think it was there down. Somewhere. Where's the cursor now? وَدَخَلَ الْمُسَافِرُ مِصْرَهُ أَتَمَّ الصَّلَاةَ وَإِنْ لَمْ يَنْوِ الْمُقَامَ فِيهِ. A person who enters his own homeland, even though he doesn't intend to stay there, he still intends to move away, I mean, to embark on another journey, he will still do complete namaz because he has reached his homeland now. He is no longer musafir. Although he intends to stay there for a short time, he will still complete the namaz because he is a muqim now, not a musafir. This is not mentioned here. No, see it. Sorry. Number 4. A person, traveller, and are you following, Mr. Ali? A person travelling enters his hometown. He prays the salah in full, even though if he did not intend to remain there. So if he intend to just simply, maybe straight after namaz, he intends to go on another journey, he will still complete namaz if he is in his hometown.
Watani Asli.
Watani Asli. Misra. Where is he staying, by the way? Misra. ومن كان وطن فانتقل عنه واستوطن غيره ثم سافر فدخل وطنه الأول لم يتم الصلاة. If a person had a hometown, then he moved away from that and went to another hometown, acquired or adopted another place as hometown. ثم سافر, then he returned to the original hometown, so he's still a musafir, and that is at the distance of 3 days now. And so once he enters the original hometown, he would not complete the namaz. لم يتم الصلاة. He would not complete. Just because originally he used to do that because when it was his hometown, he would, if he entered the hometown, he would complete the namaz. But now that he is, migrated from there to another hometown, another place, he has adopted that as a hometown. If he returns to his original hometown, that's at the distance of 3 days, he would not complete the namaz because he is still remain as a musafir. Remain as a musafir. What's going on now then?
They're surprised how much water I've had. I told them I ate pizza, that's why.
Oh.
So basically, like, let's say someone lived in London and then they moved to Birmingham.
Like us, we moved from Oldham now.
Yeah.
So originally, but in this country, as I mentioned, this country, a person remains in Musafir no matter where they remain. So there's no hometown in this country, right? So London, you intend to stay here for more than 15 days, that is what makes you a muqim here. There's no hometown.
For you there isn't, for us there is.
No, there isn't.
Because we have houses here.
No. So even though you have houses here, if you came here, you had intention to stay for less than 15 days, you would still be musafir.
No, if you got a house here.
No.
No?
Even then.
Even then?
In this country, that's a masala. Yeah. In this country, there's no hometown. The masala I mentioned just now. You're never assured of your stay here. Anytime they can
No, I
take
spoke
away.
about this that you just mentioned right now. So saying, let's say you lived in London, but then you moved to Birmingham, like to live there, but then you came back here, like as a part of a journey.
Yeah.
You do 2 o'clock.
Once again, what was the question?
I'm saying is
So you move from one town to another town.
I'm saying what I'm saying is it right?
What's the question again? I forgot.
It's not a question. It is a question, but I'm
He's
saying
clarifying that if somebody was to go from here to if somebody was in Birmingham, then he moved to London,
Yeah.
and then when he went back to Birmingham, but he no longer has a house there, he will not be musafir, right?
Obviously.
But you're saying another masla now.
I'm saying that even though if he enters his hometown, where he has got a house, but he intends to stay for less than 15 days, he still remains a musafir. Right?
But when you come to
So
your watan
when,
asli, meaning
for example, let me tell you my own case. My family was in Oldham now. From here, when I would travel to Oldham, and I would intend to stay there for less than 15 days, I would remain musafir.
that's because you don't have a house there, right? You have a
My
flat there.
house, my family was there.
No, but what meaning it wasn't your house, was it? That was something you was a place you were renting.
Indeed, so that's the thing. So in this country,
We
everything.
don't rent. If you have
No, even though if you have the house,
yeah,
that is not in your control.
they can't just kick you out of that, can you? Obviously there'll be a
No.
process.
They could.
I mean, in that
Yes.
case, Pakistani government kicking one out of that as well.
But that is your baladi asli, so that is different. This masala is a bit detailed, but let's not go into that because it's a bit difficult. Oi, what's wrong with you?
they're terrorized.
Don't be terrorized. Not terrorizing you. I'm telling you that.
I'm saying the British government terrorizes us.
No.
No, they can't just kick you out of that, can you?
No, the masala is different. Masala is that the hukum that in this place you become a musafir only because you intend to stay here for more than 15 days. It's not that because this is your watani asli. It's never. It never becomes your watani asli. Because you never have the assurity of that. You can at any time you might have to depart from here. You may be made to depart.
So
You may
any
be.
place that you have the intention of staying there for more than 15 days, then yes, you read proper namaz.
Yes. That we mentioned earlier.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what you're trying to say right now.
Yeah. So we read full namaz here because we intend to stay here for more than 15 days. That's the only reason. Otherwise, if I go back to Manchester, for example, now, today, I will read Qasr there if I intend to stay there for less than 15 days. But if I come back as well, here to London, and I intend to go back to Manchester again maybe in 2 days' time, then while I'm in London, I will read Qasr.
Even Oslo. If
You
we
as well.
have a house here.
Yeah, you as well. So you will read Qasr here.
Sure.
Yes.
Didn't know that.
London is not the home asli for us. We intend to stay here, only that we have a house here and we have the intention of staying here. That is what makes us a muqim here. Otherwise, that was the reason why I used to do qasr when I was in Plumstead. Otherwise, I had a iqamah as well in the house. Although the house belonged to the mosque, however, my iqamah was still there. So when I used to come back from Manchester, and the intention was to go back again maybe in a few days' time, and I would always do qasr. And same with the Shah Sahib, he would do the same as well. So, in this country, you never become a muqim unless you intend to stay there for 15 days. Where was I? Oh, this is number 5. Whoever, if the musafir is reading namaz, the person who enters his original homeland, he will not complete the namaz. Then, that's the masala now. وإذا نوى المسافر أن يقيم مكة ومنها 15 يوما لم يتم الصلاة. If the person who is a musafir and who is going for Umrah or Hajj, and he intends to stay in the Makkah and Mina both together 15 days, he will not complete namaz. He will remain musafir because there's two different places. Makkah is different and Mina is different. So he stays in Makkah maybe for less than 15 days, then he moves to Mina and stays there for maybe another 4 or 5 days. So that is, he will still not complete the namaz because there are two different locations now. And so his first intention was to stay in Makkah, then he intended to stay in Mina. So he never had the intention of staying in one place for 15 days.
Say somebody's watching Asli is in Muna, for example. Mina. He's watching Asli.
Yeah.
Then will he be Musafir there?
This masala is only for the musafir.
Okay.
Start with the person who
Maybe both of them. He's Gair Musafir.
Yeah.
He's back Gair Mukim Yani.
Yeah, غير مقيم who travel for the purpose of Hajj.
So if somebody's Musafir in one of the two places, then he can do full Salah where he's Mukim.
Once again.
If somebody's, for example, he's Watani Asli is in Mina or in Makkah,
In Makkah.
then in one of the places when he's there, he'll read the full namaz.
He doesn't become musafir by just traveling from Mina or to Makkah.
Oh, okay.
That's not a journey,
That won't be a journey for
Yeah.
them. Those
Yeah.
people from Makkah.
obviously.
It's only for Musafir. Okay.
So ومن فاتته صلاة في السفر, yeah, that's another masala. قضاها في الحضر ركعتين. The person misses a namaz while he was a musafir, he will still have to repeat the salah of musafir, 2 rakats only for the 4 rakat namaz. Even after reaching his homeland, he is repeating the namaz that he missed in Safar. He will repeat only 2. So repeat the namaz of musafir. ومن فاتته في الحضر في حال الإقامة قضاها في السفر 4. And if he missed a namaz while he was a muqim, then once he embarks the journey and he decides to repeat the namaz that he missed at home, he will still repeat 4.
Full.
Not namaz al-musafir. That is also a masala to be kept in mind. And in this rukhsat wala asib al-muti', that in this leave for the qasr, the muti', the obedient and the disobedient, they are equal. Where have they mentioned this masala? I have to just go all the way up to find this leave. From there. Disobedient and obedient on a journey are equal in this rukhsat and the leave that they got in the qasr. So that was it about the masail of the musafir. Now if I ask someone from you to repeat that to me, could you?
Inshallah.
You could, well, because you got the book.
Still be able to.
You will do it. So let me test them as well with the knowledge. We can help them do it. Yeah.
Inshallah.
Okay, so let's try. The masail of qasr. Do you have the book? You don't. You don't have the book.
They can't afford one.
I have that.
Did you make some notes?
This one.
I have that. I have this one that you have in the book.
On your phone? No, don't go for that. It will confuse you further.
And buy chicken and chips every
Anyway, just asking a question, simple question then, to make life easy for you. So who is a musafir then?
Someone who travels on a journey, who goes on to a journey which the distance is more than 3 days on camel.
And he intends.
And the
he
journey,
goes to
3
get
days,
holiday.
how do you measure that?
Is approximately 57.
No, well, how do we, is it traveling from morning till night?
That.
How is it?
Zawad.
From the sunrise
Till Zawal.
till zawal only.
Via camel.
Why camel, or on the foot as well. So, yes,
On
coach?
ship it will be a different hukum.
Yes, that will come later. So, what if a place has got 2 different routes? One is through land and one is through sea. Let me finish the question first. I know you're from those people who learn the question before I finish. Before the questioner is finishing. Anyway, so if the 2 routes of place, one is shorter, less than 3 days, and the other is longer, how will mean, what's the hukm in that?
If the journey by land is shorter than 3 days,
Yeah?
then he will not be a musafir. But if he decides to go by sea and that is longer than 3 days, then he'll be musafir. He'll be regarded as musafir.
Musafir, good. Okay, so Mr. Akeem, you tell me what is the hukm for a musafir? What happens if a person becomes a musafir? In terms of namaz only. You help him.
Double your namaz, yeah?
8 rakats, 6 rakats.
Instead of reading 4, you do read 8 2.
So the hukm is that they have to do qasr
So
of
every 4 you read?
One for far.
Yeah, you read 2. Good. And for Maghrib?
But if
one and a half. Right.
Double.
Where were you when I was talking about this? Amazing.
Cuckoo lamp. Playing with fairies.
Anyway, well, let me ask him another question. What if a person, instead of reading 2, decides to read 4? What happens? Does he get swab for reading more?
لا يجوز.
It's not jais. Instead, he gets a guna, a sin.
If
So
he
he's
does
not
it
getting
accidentally,
swab.
then the ruling was if he does it accidentally, there's 2 things.
Yeah, that's different. So
If he's done it accidentally and he sat
sat
after
down in the
second,
middle. Yeah.
in a second rak'at and read the shahud, then stood up, then the other 2 will become classified as nafil.
Nafil and
But if
first
he didn't do so, then his namaz become fasid.
first in
You have to read it from the top.
Good.
So can you
And,
purposely read?
No, you can. Namaz is accepted, but you'll be good at that.
Or even if you sit down, but if you sit down forgetfully and then stand up. As in, stand
Huh?
up
You're
forgetfully.
saying if you purposely
Or you never.
read 4, knowing that you're musafir.
but then the hukm applies again. I think you read the masala earlier.
Like reflex. Because reflex, because you know it's 4 rakat first.
Well, you read the masala earlier. If you made a
sit
mistake
before
and
the
before you have
third
done the
sajda.
sajda for the third rakat,
Then you can return.
and you
When
can
you're in
return
the
and do sajda sahab and finish it off. But if you have done the sajda for the third rakat, then you will add one more, and then that
If you sat, then stood up. If you didn't stand at all, then you know I become fast.
obviously, yeah. Then if you sat down, that is different. But if you didn't sit down at all,
Then
then the
namaz become fasid.
namaz is fasil. So you
Kullu-
should do simply,
kullu batil.
simply say Islam and start again.
So if you're unsure, we'll sit down.
Alright, so let's ask another question from Mr. Zafar now.
Imam Zuhur.
What's the hukm? What's the hukm if a person intended to stay at place for less than 15 days, but he was never able to come out of the place for 2 years?
he carries on reading
Continue reading.
to
Because
Qasr.
Qasr.
carries on reading Qasr until he leaves and gets back home.
Or until he intends to stay there for
Yeah,
15 days.
please.
Yeah.
For more than 14 days,
More than 14 days. 15 days, I would say.
then you want
15 or more than 15 days.
more than 14 days.
More than 14 days.
Covers it.
Not less than 15. So, وإذا دخل المسافر, what happens, Rakin, another question and simpler for you. What happens if a person is a musafir, but he instead joins in namaz with someone who is a muqim? So the imam is muqim and the muqtadi, the follower, is musafir instead. What happens? Can he still do the qasr? Why not? It's okay. He's not allowed to. All right. And are you making some notes?
read one line.
Let me see what you've written. Travel on a camel, not by feet. That's what he says today. Amazing. And on the back is drawn a camel.
on Sunday, that way you buy it yourself.
How do you reckon?
And from last Saturday, he's written that don't blame the sun for shining. That's his note.
Yeah, but do you understand why we said don't bring the sun?
Because people worship the sun.
No, we weren't talking
Why
about
don't you behave, Mr. Rakeen?
People worship the sun. They're worshiping.
Okay, now
we
let's.
haven't seen the person's plan, directly back round. The sun's still shining, just to the back and see the winter season.
So that was it about our hukm of the musafir. So today we learnt about the hukm of musafir, that a musafir becomes a musafir once he intends to travel as far as 3 days journey, traveling on a camel or by foot. And if there are two routes to the same place, and one is shorter, one is longer, one is through sea and one is through land, and different hukm apply, we should learn today. And you also learnt about the hukm that applies to musafir, that he has to read 2 rakats for every 4 rakats namaz, and it's not jaiz permissible for him to increase on that. And there were hukm that if he sat down in the middle, then the 2 rakats would become nafal, and the first 2 will be sufficient for the fard of the time. And he remains in state of journey travel until he intends to stay in a place for more than 15 days, 15 or more days, and then right from the intention he becomes a muqim, and he has to complete the namaz. And behind the muqim imam he will complete, and behind the musafir imam, the imam will read 2 only, and the muqtadi, the followers, they will be asked to carry on. And but once they carry on, they won't do qiraat in that. Yeah? They will read other prayers other supplications, but won't do the qiraat of Fatiha. So while I'm talking, please don't talk. Yeah, it's against the manners. And if a person adopted a new homeland and departed or migrated from his original homeland, then he returned to his homeland again, original homeland, and he's still a musafir, he won't complete the namaz. And as far as this country is concerned, unless we intend to stay in a place for more than 15 days, we are all musafir, no matter whether we are in London or wherever we are. So that was it for our fiqh lesson today. So I hope that it has been beneficial for you.
Is that because of Darul Harb ruling?
It is also, but at the same time, it is because of the uncertainty attached to our stay in this country. There is not complete uncertainty, but there is still a level of uncertainty there. So we are not certain of when we could be required to leave this country. Just as like I mentioned, a person stays in a land, and he says, غَدًا نَخْرُجُ وَغَدًا غَدٍ نَخْرُجُ. Today or tomorrow I'm leaving. So he is not sure, and he remains there for maybe 10 years. He will still remain Musafir. So in this country, while at this land, for example, we come to London now, we have intention of staying there for more than 15 days. Iqama. This niyyah makes us muqim. However, the hukm is that if we came here for less than 15 days, even though my property might be here, I wouldn't become muqim.